No, I mean, he sent me a message and I kind of sent a message back. But yeah, it was like, again, I don't think either of us were surprised by the outcome. And we've been talking all along anyway, you know, we've kind of, whether that's about his situation or about the football club, you know, the way I kind of treat these things is while they're here, they're still part of the club, you know. I don't sort of isolate them or treat them differently because I know they're leaving, you know. So we've been having discussions along the way, and so again, like it wasn't really a surprise or something that, you know, either of us needed to sort of address with what's happened.
And some fans were sort of getting a bit excited or hoping that there might be some sort of buyback clause in this transfer. Is there anything you can reveal on that? Is there any chance that one day he could come back to Tottenham?
No idea, mate. I've got no idea about the details of the deal, but he'll definitely be back at Tottenham one day, in one capacity or another. And you know, like I said, when you have a career like he has at one football club, you're never not part of it. Put it that way.
Matt?
Yeah, I just wonder when it seemed like the deal was going to happen this morning, what the mood was like in the dressing room amongst the other players, whether Harry's had a chance to say goodbyes to anybody at all, or might he come back and do that?
I mean, I don't really venture into the dressing room, mate. I'll leave that to the players.
Or around the training ground?
Yeah, I found out really early in my career, mate, football clubs, players who move on pretty quickly. You know, we like to think that, you know, that we kind of dwell on things, but we don't. There's no time to. You know, these players know that in sort of 48 hours we've got our first Premier League game. That's where their focus is. I'm sure Harry has reached out or will reach out at some point to all the playing group, you know, but, you know, he hasn't been in to sort of say his goodbyes or anything like that. And like I said, the mood is the mood you'd expect 2 days out from a season opener. You know, the guys are pretty focused on making sure we're ready.
Matt?
And you said you've sort of known this from the first time you spoke to Harry. Have you sort of known this from the moment you took the job?
Yeah, pretty much.
Was it part of the conversation, or did it not matter?
What do you mean, did it not matter?
You want the job, either way Harry's going.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, it's not part of the contract negotiations. If that's what you're asking, then I need certain players to stay. I mean, you kind of do your due diligence whenever you take a job, and hopefully I was well researched enough to know what was going on in the background, and you have these conversations with people, and you know, I think it was in the public arena about sort of the outcome. When a player of Harry's stature is going to the last year of your contract, again, you don't need some deep investigative research to figure out what's going on. So, you know, I kind of knew going into it that, again, this was going to be more than likely the outcome.
You understand the appeal for him of joining Bayern Munich?
Yeah, look, again, I'm reticent to get into other people's shoes, mate, because if people sort of did that for me, I wouldn't be comfortable in people speaking for me. You know, Harry's, you know, he's got his own circle of people that he would speak to about these things, and why he, you know, he's come to this decision in his life and his career, and you know, he's the best one to explain whether I understand it or not is relevant, because I don't have all the information he does. You know, it's easy for me to sit here and say, well, I would have stayed or I would have gone, but I don't live his life. I don't know what he sort of, where he's at in terms of the same way, like I said, if people started making assumptions about me and my decisions about why I do things, I think it's unfair, so I wouldn't do that with Harry.
Yeah, sorry.
Hello, Ange. My name's Michael Yukumi. I'm from the Greek Cypriot newspaper Balikdiaki, based in London. I mean, you left Greece with your family at the age of 5 and went to Australia. And how did you get into football? And finally, did you ever dream of being a Premier League manager?
Thank you for that. No, look, I'm very proud of my roots. I've spoken about them extensively. You know, I'm the son of an immigrant. We went halfway around the world, and my parents made enormous sacrifices, and I wouldn't be sitting here without them doing that. And you know, that football has been the vehicle of you know, me allowing me to live my life and have the life I have, and the beautiful family I have, and the friends I have. But that's on the back of you know, two parents who basically sacrificed their own life for the betterment of their kids, and it's not a unique story. It's quite a common one. So I'm forever thankful for that.
Matt?
Harry Stoll.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm going to be the bad guy and go back to Harry.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm fine with it. Don't worry.
Those of us who've watched Tottenham for a long time, without, obviously it's been incredible, there has been an argument that the club have been overly reliant on him and the team at times have been overly reliant on him. Is there any element in terms of trying to look at this positively of taking the plaster off, you know, ripping the plaster off a little bit and suffering a bit of pain that could
Yeah.
make something good out of it?
Yeah. Look, I mean, and I get where you're coming from, but that's look, I said, that's doing a great disservice to a guy who did some unbelievable things. Like, you know, you're kind of, there wouldn't be a manager in the Premier League or any club in the world that wouldn't want Harry Kane in their team. Like, that's the reality of it, you know. So you can't say that, you know, that because he's here, that's sort of stymied the club into having success. I just don't buy into that. I just think, you know, he's done what his utmost to try and have success at this football club, and it hasn't worked for a number of reasons. What we do know about this game is that it's very, very, very rare that an individual will be the difference. It's usually the collective. So what that offers us now, as you said, an opportunity to build a collective that brings us success. And within that context, you still want outstanding individuals. You still want the best players. That doesn't change. You know, it's not like you kind of dismiss someone just because he's been part of something that hasn't been successful. You know, that might be because of other reasons rather than what he's trying to bring to it.
Dan?
Just to follow up on that, Ange, that there is obviously going to be a kind of vacuum in the dressing room in terms of leadership and on the pitch in terms of goals. Do you see, in a positive way, you know, that being filled by other players stepping up and perhaps kind of emerging from Harry's shadow, as it were?
Well, potentially, like I said earlier, that's all you can do is create that space and then see what grows from there, because you know, that there is sometimes that element of it where, you know, people maybe suppress themselves to a certain extent because they understand that there's, you know, a unique individual in the room that you know, has such great presence and is such a force on and off the field that having that space there maybe does, but there's no guarantee that does either. You know, that just the opportunity is there, put it that way, as you said. And with all these things, there's opportunities. What you've got to try and do is what the great clubs do, the great organisations, is replace greatness with greatness. Now, how that comes about is not easy. You know, it's not easy, but that's what the big clubs do. You know, they find a way to sustain and maintain and grow, even when the greatest, you know, leave their doors.
And over the years at Spurs, when Harry's been injured in the past, there's always been this debate about whether Son is a striker. Some of your predecessors made it very clear he wasn't a striker. Others thought he could play there. Do you think he could play through the middle, kind of, you know, semi-regularly for you? Do you see that being an option?
Yeah, I don't see it. I wouldn't rule it out. I've known Sonny for a long time, and you know, watched his career develop. There's no doubt he could play centrally in my mind, especially the way we play. I mean, again, you know, I think that's where the nuances lie, is that different managers have different ways of setting up their team. And in some teams, yeah, I could see where Sonny couldn't play as a central striker, but the way we play and the way we're going to play, yeah, I definitely see him as an option to play in the central area.
And just one for Leeds, is it kind of how far away, how ready is he to play minutes in the Premier League?
Yeah, no, it'd be a while for him. I think we just got to let him settle again. He's come halfway around the world. He's a young guy. Yeah, it's a fairly different level. He's one we will invest in the long term, but I wouldn't expect him to see any minutes over the sort of first part of the season.
Okay, Ed, finish with this section with you, please.
I was just going to ask if you don't have to tell us obviously, but what could you say to Harry, your message, just wish him all the best?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to say, mate, but yeah.
And I'm just interested in your role now with the boys that Harry's going to leave. How important is it that you give them a platform to step up to his shoes?
Yeah, you know, again, I didn't wake up this morning kind of trying to cultivate that. That's been happening all along. You know, hopefully, you know, obviously it's difficult for all you guys to see that because you're not here every day, but we've been trying to do that anyway. Like that, like I said, it's, I guess, the finality of it all today kind of hits everyone and everyone's kind of going, what next, but this is not new for me. This is 6 weeks or 5 weeks into knowing that this was going to happen. So we've kind of been cultivating that anyway, in the way we've been going about things on and off the field. So nothing really changes there.
Okay, and we'll end the embargoed section there and move on to the Sunday section finally. Rob, yeah, we'll do it in here. Rob and James.